Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Builders Show, the show where we build builders. This is episode 7, and as always, we're joined with my co-host Will Patansis. Will, how you doing?
I'm feeling good, brother. I'm feeling unstoppable today.
Uh-oh. Oh, boy. Here we go. Got that caffeine going.
Yeah, baby.
All right. Well, hey, let's jump right into this. All right. So today's topic is why electricians do not know their worth.
I would raise the stakes. You're saying why? I'm already saying electricians don't know their worth.
Okay, so a statement.
It's a
Electrician
statement. It's a bold statement today because we're meeting too
electricians.
many crappy electricians out there.
Mm. All right. So electricians do not know their worth. Why
Mm,
is that? Well, most electricians think selling yourself means saying, I do great work. How many times have you heard a contractor say, I do great work? How many times have you heard an electrician say, I do great work? Or I've been doing this for 30 years. That's a popular one, right?
mhm,
And what we found out is that doesn't get raises. Your
mm.
experience alone, separated from everything else, doesn't get you raises. That doesn't win better jobs, and it doesn't differentiate yourself. What do you think?
I think you hit it on the head, especially for electricians going into work today. You electricians have so much value to give, and I feel like you guys don't even know it. I'm meeting so many different customers who are saying, "Oh man, the contractor before you said he never seen this horrible work before. Oh man, that he's been doing this for 30 years. He said he can do this, he can do that." There's so many electricians out there who don't know how to properly sell themselves. I feel like I'm at a point now in business that I can close jobs and I don't even have to tell somebody how much I'm worth, or at the same time, tell somebody I do great work. Because guess what? Customers don't care about how the work looked. If something is busted, they're looking for it to get fixed. Do you think saying, "Oh, I'm going to make it look like this, it's going to sparkle like that, I'm going to fix"? No. For the most part, us as electricians, we're in a reactive market. So usually that means something was working and now it's not working and they just want it to work again. Very few people are working in custom home builds, new builds where those things matter. But for the most part, contractors, all they know how to do is say or crap on the other guy, basically say how crappy of a work they do. So you have to hire them. Or they say they've been doing this for 30 years, that they can figure any problem out. But then in the same tune, when something bad happens, they go, "In my 30 years, I've never seen this happen before." So contractors, electricians, apprentices, if you're coming into the trades, if you're coming into the job site today, if you're headed into the office, you have to understand that you have more to give. What do you think about that, Cameron?
Yeah, well, this has been a talking point of ours for almost 2 years, and many people agree and have experienced this, feel the same way. There's also a crowd that disagrees with this. There are people who give pushback that say, stop picking on the guy who's older than you. Stop discrediting the experience. And once again, I'm going to repeat what I said earlier. Most electricians think selling yourself means saying, I do great work, or I've been doing this for 30 years. And again, that doesn't get raises, that doesn't win better jobs, and it doesn't differentiate yourself. So, what does separate yourself? Because we have guys who say, I've been doing this for 30 years, and they think that automatically warrants respect, credibility, when in fact, you could have been doing this wrong for 30 years. Yes, there is something to say about someone who's been doing something for a long time, right? So there's a balance. But to whip out the card, I've been doing this for 30 years. You need to listen. How many times have I seen that on social media? Whenever someone gets pinned in a corner, well, I've been doing this for 30 years and I'm just supposed to bow down to that? No,
Yeah,
sir.
case closed. You can't argue no more.
Yeah. Verdict reached. You're wrong because I've been doing
Guilty.
this for 30 years.
Yep.
Yeah, I've only been doing this. I've been in the trades for 5 years. I've been doing contract work for a little over 2.5 years, and to this day, not as much as I used to, but occasionally I get people who want to argue with me. I'm not even trying to make an argument, but want to discredit me and say, "Yeah, a guy who's been in this for 5 years shouldn't be allowed to own a business or shouldn't be a contractor." My question is for whoever it may be that says something like that. When is long enough long enough?
Yeah.
Because,
When are you good enough?
yeah, is it
When will you be good enough?
yeah, it's a lose-lose situation no matter what you do. Right? When is long enough long enough? Is it by what some dude says on social media, or is it what the state says, or is it what your customer base says? Because guess what? If I still have a customer base and I'm still rolling along year after year, getting business and getting good jobs and getting good GCs, well, that argument falls flat on its face because obviously you're doing something right. 30
And I
years
need,
doesn't mean end all be all. You can do this stuff, especially if you're in residential. Residential is probably the easiest line of electrical work to get into compared to commercial or industrial. You don't need 15 years experience to go do residential contracting work. You just don't. Will, what do you have to say?
I agree with you. I agree with you. And you hit it on the head. And what's crazy is we're speaking in this perspective from a contractor's perspective on how we're winning work, how we're trying to win over these customers with value rather than just experience and time. But all of this, the principle still applies to you apprentices. You guys who are just coming in, you're basically going to be learning how to communicate with your future customers by what you're learning today. You're going to be learning at GCs. You're going to be learning how to communicate with foremen. You're going to be learning how to communicate with owners of companies and thinking, oh my God, I do great work. I'm going to be honest with you. They're probably looking at you and saying, good boy. When did you ever see somebody say, I don't do good work? Nobody does that. So by default, everybody and their mother is going to say they do good work. And that's like the entry level of trying to sell yourself. It goes back to that scene from Wolf of Wall Street where he's like, sell me this pen. And he's like, well, it's a great pen. Well, this pen, it's shiny on the outside. You're talking about things. You're talking about yourself on a superficial level. You have to learn to sell yourself the value you bring, the comfort, the experience you have. For example, when in that movie they started talking about sell me this pen, the first thing he asked was, well, how long have you been looking for a pen? Because now he brought out a question that's attracting a pain point. How long have you been without a pen? Oh, I've been looking for a pen for months. Wow. So in 6 months, you haven't found a pen that's good. No, it's because I'm looking for something specific. Well, what specifically are you looking for? Well, I'm looking for a specific color. Well, that's crazy because this pen is that exact same color. You see where I'm getting at? You're asking questions that's generating a response that the homeowner, customer, foreman, GC is already looking for. So if you're an electrician, if you're an apprentice, if you're a contractor, this is the time where you shut up. This is where you ask the customer, how long have you been looking for an electrician for? Oh, well, this is an emergency. This happened last night. So you're looking for someone pretty quickly, right? Yeah, because this is broken and I want it to work again because, well, we've spent years developing what we've known to help out customers in this same exact situation. Our guys have a full availability. We can tackle this for, oh, thank you so much. That's what I'm looking for. They don't give a damn about how nice you bend your pipe, how your photos, your review. No, they want a solution to the pain point that they're having. So that's what I love to see because we see too many contractors going down the route of forcing your work down someone's throat when at the end of the day, they don't care. Of course, there's going to be some jobs, some tasks that they really want to showcase. But for the majority of the stuff in electrical, it's something's broken and it needs to get fixed. So you as an apprentice, that's why we focus so much on soft skills. That's why we focus so much on communication. Because if you learn how to talk, if you learn how to be of service, if you learn how to facilitate, if you learn how to make your customers feel comfortable, you can sell yourself Anybody, any foreman, if you're proactive, if you show character, if the foreman or the journeyman is working on something and you go grab the broom, or if you go grab a part for him, or if you finished your work and you start cleaning up the material, sorting it out, putting things into the van, organizing, you're always going to have a job. You don't need to sell yourself. They're going to want you. The same applies as a customer. If you have a customer who's has all these different things and you are showing that you take note of them, that you're going to take care of it, and that you're going to be a comfort to them, you're giving them another experience that they never had before. Because the other guy's just going to be talking about how he's been doing this for 30 years and how no one's like him. And then when every other issue comes up, he's going to blame everybody under the sun. So that's what I love about this talking point with what people are actually looking for, what they want to pay for, and what they want to work with. And you guys who are just starting off, you guys have a great opportunity in front of you that you guys got to take to heart. Okay.
That's great. So that's a good transition into point two. So point one was experience is not a selling point. Experience is not a selling point. Kind of reiterating what you said earlier, Will. Me personally, as an electrician, I've never walked up to a job and started talking about the quality of work I do. The number one thing that I was not trying to sell was how good my work looks. What customers want to hear is knowledge, scope of work, and if you can communicate those things well and make them feel safe, make them feel comfortable, you never have to bring up the quality of work. Of course, you're going to do good work and they're going to see that after it's done. That's going to speak for itself. But you should never walk into a job trying to sell the point of how you do quality work because every other electrician out there is claiming the same thing. All right. So, point number two, what people actually pay for, again, clarity and communication over the scope of work. Because remember, we electricians, we can talk in all this kind of lingo that we all understand. Homeowners, unless they're, the homeowners that they just know enough to be dangerous, they kind of try to do some work and a lot of times they don't do it right. But there's some out there that are a little dangerous, so they can kind of understand you. But most customers don't understand what the heck you're talking about with AFCI and GFCI. You have to explain these things in layman's terms. And it's an art. It takes time. It's a skill because, Will, I think you would agree, in our space, as electricians, as contractors, this is really more about selling more than the actual work.
Correct.
I've sometimes thought about I should get into some sales classes because I'm not a salesman by nature. I've never had a job that's involved with sales. Until now, I find myself having to hone in on my sales skills, on my communication skills over the hard skills as a contractor.
Yep.
I can be the best electrician. I'm not, but and I never will be, but I can be the best electrician. There's guys out there who are amazing electricians. You can't take that away from them. They have years, decades of experience. They know the code book. They know theory. They could probably troubleshoot really good. They could probably help me out on the job. But guess what? A lot of those guys are horrible communicators.
Yep.
They don't present themselves well. And then a lot of them, they try the contracting route. They get in it and they don't last very long. And now they're working for another guy. They're working for the man, which there's nothing wrong with that, right? But the point is that an example like that, it shows that what we're doing as electricians, as contractors, people can argue, people can have their opinions, but I'm going to argue every day that this is more about the soft skills. This is more about communication. This is more about customer relationships than it is about being an electrician. Will, what do you think?
I agree. And you hit it on the head. And the way we have to deliver that message is to make them feel comfortable, especially with electrical. We have plumbers, the worst that can happen is you're going to get freaking wet. You got HVAC. The worst that's going to happen is you're going to get cold or hot. With electrical, the worst that can happen is you can die. You understand? So the sense of urgency are already there. So as long as, and that's so funny that you mentioned with the sales, because we're once again we're in this industry where we wait for something to get broken. So how do you sell that? How do you sell something that you're waiting to get broken? Me and my own electrical contracting business, we just started up a sales team. I was telling you about it. And over here, we're having these meetings and we're like, how are we going to sell electrical work? And at the end of the day, what we have to do is introduce ourselves. At the end of the day, you have to be their go-to when something does happen. And you have to foster and nurture that type of relationship. That's electrical sales. Number one, very few people are going to start a project and start scrambling and looking for an electrician. No. If someone's going to start a project, they're going to do their research and they're going to get 2-3 estimates. So in this opportunity, when you're working with someone, you want to make sure that you're providing that comfort. And that comfort comes from understanding what you're going to be able to provide. There's too many electricians who just want to say, I'm going to do great work, but they don't know how to communicate. I do great work, but they don't know how to send a proper estimate. I do great work, but they don't know how to follow a project schedule. I do great work, but they show up sloppy every day to the job site. I do great work, but they're over here cursing up on the job site and making everyone feel uncomfortable. Just because you're doing great work, just because you do great work, doesn't mean all these other things can get ignored or passed by. You understand that? If I'm going to let you into my house and you're telling me, well, I'm the smartest electrician, but you look like a bum. Guess what? You're a bum. I do great work, but you're showing up late and then don't know how to communicate. And you don't make sense when you write your estimate out and you're saying, well, this is my price. Take it. You're too comfortable. I don't want to work with you. I'm over here working and developing a sales team just so we can understand what is the typical person's pain point. And then we want to make sure, hey, at the end of the day, we just want to make sure you're safe and that at the end of the day, you have everything that you need. And that's our sales team. It's to be there, to be ready when something does happen. And that's just establishing a conversation, establishing a relationship with these people. But guess what? People don't know how to do that. People don't know how to slow down and just talk because they're like, let's go, 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 go. I need to do great work. I got to do this. I got to produce so I can show you my worth. Bro, I can sell more than you. And I guarantee you all I have to do is talk to people. How many times have you done that where you've gone to a job site and you're like, I already got this job. I already feel it. The odds are in your favor. You're feeling loose. The homeowner's already smiling at you. You already got all the cues. You already know I got this job. And not once have you said, I do great work. If you talk about it, it's probably sprinkled on there on the top like sprinkles. You know what I mean? It's not the focus. No, hey, yep, I've seen this before. Hey, yep, we've tackled this many times. Hey, yep, there's a lot of issues that couldn't happen, but guess what? We've done XYZ and we've had this type of outcome, and we're going to make sure that you have the same thing. We're going to walk you through the entire process. We're going to communicate with you. Even when things go not according to plan, we're going to be here for you. So at the end of the day, we're going to take care of you. At the end of the day, you're going to have a nice home where it's safe, where you guys can continue doing what you're doing. But people don't know how to have a conversation now. They think it's just go, go, go.
Yeah, no one's ever asked me if I do good work. I don't know why electricians keep emphasizing that, because no one's ever asked me that, and nor have I ever tried to sell that to a customer. Again, what I do sell to customers is communicating clearly the scope of work, communicating confidently, and then executing what I said I was going to do. That is what is going to determine if you're going to be successful or not as an electrician.
And I love that. And what you just said is the basis of every person, is the basis for what everybody needs to understand your own value. So once again, we go back to apprentices. I guarantee you guys, you know what? I want to make a bet. I guarantee you I can get you apprentices a raise just by the way you communicate. I'm pretty sure I can do that. And I want to do a giveaway. I want to do something like that on our channel. We're going to test this out. If you message us, or you know what, let's do it in this. How can somebody get a raise? Well, I guarantee you, if you're an apprentice and if you're looking for a raise from your boss, I guarantee you, if you tell him this one thing, he's going to be willing to entertain it. And if he doesn't, then I think it's time to switch companies. Because me personally, as an electrical contractor, if you come to me, if you're an apprentice, and if you come to me saying, Will, how do I make your job easier? And I take a moment, think about it, or say, hey, let me get back to you. And I get back to you and I say, if you help with XYZ, and then if you say, I can do XYZ, but can you take care of me a little more? I will give you that raise. Contractors have so many red flags going off when a customer or an employee comes over and says, can I speak to you? Because then our guards are like, oh no, is he going to quit? Oh no, they're going to ask for more money. Oh man, is he worth it? Oh no, what if I give him more money? What if I say no, then he's going to leave me, if he's going to threaten it. All these different things start coming to your mind. But if you come to me and if you approach me and saying, what can I do to help you? You don't understand. Men, contractors, electricians, we're trying to make our life as easy as possible because our world is so chaotic. As a contractor, as a husband, as a man, you have so many different things that you have to worry about. So if you're coming to me and you're saying, how can I make your job easier? I'm not going to want to lose you because you're active. Think about all the best workers, all the best employees, all the best partners, all the best friends that you've had is somebody who's been with you through thick and thin. Those are the guys that you want to keep forever. If you're genuinely looking for opportunities for growing, and if you find someone who's willing to listen and work with you, bro, that's a dynamic duo right there. Now, once again, there might be contractors who aren't ready for that. There might be contractors who don't want to do that. And that's where I tell you freely, you got to find the right spot, bro. Because I understand it's already tough. I understand it's a jungle out there. But if you have to find somewhere where you're going to be of value. And now maybe you're not somebody who can demand that, but then that's something that you can work on. So as an apprentice, if you're looking for a raise, I guarantee you will get a raise if you approach the conversation. If you go into your contractor, if you go into your journeyman, if you go into your foreman, and if you tell him, how can I make your job easier? He's not going to want to let you go. I guarantee you right now. If you don't get that raise, I'm telling you, book it. Go to another company. Now, there's other things that you can do to leverage, like getting your license, taking some certifications, making yourself more useful. But it all stems from talking about and showcasing the value that you bring and the comfort, the experience that you're going to cause or create in his business. How do you feel about that?
That's all really good. You have more hiring experience than me. I have one employee, and in Tennessee, unless you're in the union, there's no formal apprenticeship or journeyman card. So it's not something. Tennessee isn't like a lot of other states. So when I say apprentice, I just use it just so I don't have to keep explaining this over and over again. But for conversation's sake, yes. When I have anyone who's working for me now or in the future and they come to me saying those things, dude, that's gold. As an apprentice, as an electrician who is working for a contractor, the best thing you can do is not just show up to work on time or be consistent in showing up every day. It is aiming to make your boss's life easier than what it is now. How can I help him to where he doesn't stress as much? How can I go the extra mile in doing something that I wasn't told to do? So many guys just wait for orders. And if that's your mindset, cool. You'll be a great employee, a great 9 to 5er, but you're never going to make those leaps and bounds to something greater because you're not taking initiative. Just having initiative separates you, unfortunately, from so many people. And me as a boss now, as an owner, as the contractor of my company, those are the kind of employees I want. And I feel like I have one of those right now, which I'm grateful. I'd like to multiply tons of him, you know? So I don't just want a guy who can show up because that's easy. If you can't show up for work, you're a loser. If you are always calling in, if you're late all the time, dragging along and complaining, you're a loser and you're not going to make it until you have a serious change in your life.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. Making the job easier. I grew up in the generation. I want to, I never asked you this, Cameron, but as an electrician, I was told if you finish the work that you were given, pick up a broom, clean up, sort the material, organize the material in the van. There's always something to do. And I feels like now, the second you give a task to somebody, and if you didn't physically say, hey, when you're done, come talk to me, what are you going to end up seeing? They're just going to be sitting down on a bucket. They're going to be somewhere else on their phone playing games. One, very few of us had phones growing up. I think I didn't get a phone till I was like 19. I was like a late bloomer. Now, we didn't have all the apps that we had today, music, Spotify. It was still starting out. But for the most part, if you finished what you were told to do, you were told to be proactive and look for something around. If the homeowner hasn't moved into the house, if the owners of the store haven't moved in and started business, if you're still on site, that means something has to get done. And your job was to think about what possibly could be done next. And I feel like as an apprentice, if you come in with that mindset of how can you look to help and be of service, you're always going to hold a job and always going to have an opportunity to grow with a contractor, a GC, a foreman, because they're going to want you on every single one of their projects.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think, principally speaking, you can take that to the contractor as well. Let me explain. As an apprentice, there is always something for you to do. Never just sit down and wait for whoever's in charge of you to come give you more orders. You can always pick up a broom. You can always check something. You can always circle back and ask, what can I do next? You can go the extra mile. There is always something to do. And I would even apply that to contractors as well with customers. We all have our minimum rate showing up to a job. We've all shown up to a job where all we did was reset a GFCI that took 2 minutes to do. And then we feel bad for charging the customer a 2 or 3 hour minimum. You know what I do, Will? Sometimes, not every time, but sometimes I'll open up their panel. Well, I'll ask them if there's anything else I can do. And sometimes they just say no, or they may bring something else up and I may look at it just to know to stay there a little bit longer and show that I care and not just trying to get their money. I'll open up their panel and I'll take my torque screwdriver and tighten all their branch circuits to the breakers and then make sure all their neutrals are tight. I've done that before and have found that a lot of their neutrals were loose and they had a lot of loose connections in their breakers. They didn't say anything was wrong, but it's showing that you care about them and you're putting them first. You're putting their livelihood first over you just trying to get out of there as fast as
A
you can.
quick buck. Yep.
Sure. So it applies to contractors as well, just in a different way. So I think those are all great points. We kind of talked on selling yourself as a contractor. We talked on how you shouldn't be selling the phrase "I do good work," right? But another point that we have here, I know we're almost out of time, but something I want to touch on real quick. I want to hear your thoughts. Why does competing on price kill long-term growth for the contractor? So we're kind of switching gears. We're talking about apprentices, journeymen, how to get raises, but as contractors, because we have a wide range of audience. We have apprentices, journeymen, we have contractors. As a contractor, why should contractors not be concerned with competing on prices now?
I think because primarily it's a race to the bottom. Because if you say I'm $500 and there's nothing else to justify $500, it could be that call, like you said. Hey, it's going to take me 2 minutes to reset a GFCI. So why is it $500? I can do it for $400. Then it's okay. Now I can beat that for $300 because if it's genuinely 2 minutes worth of work, then technically, what's the lowest bidder? The lowest bidder is whoever's going to take the job for the lowest and just be happy with it. So the reason why you don't go and compete on pricing is because it's a monetary thing. It's a superficial thing that can always get beaten by someone else. You know what I mean? It's just like going and saying, I've been doing this for 30 years. What if you're arguing with somebody who's been doing it for 31 years? Does he beat you now? Oh, shoot. You just lost the whole
According to a
argument.
lot of people, that beats them. According to
Yeah.
some people's
Well,
logic.
according to principle, if you're arguing on experience, then 31 is bigger than 30, you know? So
41's better than 40. 52 is better than 51. You lose.
there you go. So that's where it comes down to. And that's why we're trying to teach you guys, apprentices, contractors. The principle is you can't fight an argument on something that's superficial that can just get topped by someone else. You understand? We talked about the other day on what's professionalism. That's something that you can't argue. You can say, I'm more professional than you, then show it. Ooh, it's hard to show it. But someone who goes, I've been doing this for 30 years, okay, there's nothing else you can like, no, you haven't. Like, then it goes on to a spiral. Now you're calling me a liar. They say that because there's no tangible proof of showing that. If you're a professional, then show it. Show me how you communicate. You're dropping F-bombs on a site visit? That's not professional to me. You're showing up late. You're looking sloppy. There's other things I can gauge you on. So when you go into an argument or when you go into a conversation with a homeowner and you're talking about pricing, you're doing another superficial thing. Well, that's 500. Well, this guy said 400. Well, that guy said 300. Well, this guy said 200. You're opening yourself up to a loss even before you give a quote because you're putting yourself against multiple people with multiple opinions. You understand? You have to stay away from selling yourself on a superficial level. Because, like what we talked about on Instagram, there's always going to be someone younger. There's always going to be someone better looking. There's always going to be someone smarter. There's always going to be someone richer. There's always that expression. There's always big fish, little fish. You know, there's always something else. And guess what? If you focus on something that's superficial that anybody can beat you on, then you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Yep, that's really good. Well, we're out of time, but I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you are an electrician going into work, look around and just see how you can differentiate yourself from everyone else. If you actually think about it and then you look around, it's actually a lot easier to see it and then apply it to yourself. Like, hey, I can do X, Y, and Z that 90% of the other people around me aren't doing. So, any last thoughts, Will? That's all I got.
I think you hit it on the head. Look around, see what's out there, see what you can do differently, and then have that conversation with your boss. If you're the type of person who's already doing all these things that we already talked about, I genuinely ask you, go talk to him. I'm asking you, tell him, hey, is there anything I could do to make your job easier? And if he doesn't look at you and first off say thank you, I'm definitely guarantee you you're in his now. You're one of his favorites. And then if he genuinely follows through and then tells you, hey, I'm looking for XYZ, and you're able to do that with him, he's going to keep you. He's going to keep you. He's going to give you whatever you need. Now that builds a lot of trust. That takes a lot of trust on both sides because they could be dangling the carrot in front of you, you know? But if you genuinely find a company who's going to be out there extending himself like that while you're doing the same, you found a nice place that you're going to grow in. Where we see a lot of the conflict is when one side exploits the other or takes advantage of the other, or there's no communication between the two. That's where always this thing spirals out. So look up, keep your chin up, see what's going on, and apply yourselves.
All right, guys. That's it. Appreciate you listening. We'll see you next time.